Hey guys, welcome back to another day here in the garage. Plan today is to get this front end all together over the next couple days, but this video is gonna take place over a few days here. Got universal joints here for our axle shafts. Lift kit's gonna be here in a couple days, finally, after several new delays. And it'll be good to get this done. I'm ready to finish up this front end and move on. So, universal out of the driver's side axle shaft. It actually really wasn't too bad. Here's one here. See if we get this to focus in here, but really wasn't too bad. Probably could have just used them the way that they were, but hey, we got the whole thing apart. We might as well get this done while we're in here. So, but probably could have ran these, but we're gonna get to installing the new one here. Universal joint here. This is I just went with a GMB, just the cheapy, non-greasable version. You know, this truck really, I'm not gonna drive it a whole lot. You know, just take it out on Sundays type of thing. So, you know, these will be fine. The joints that came out of it were not greasable either. These were like $6.95 a piece. So yeah, we just went with these. Comes with our new snap rings. And that's another thing. When you take the old U-joint out, remember to pull your snap ring out from inside. We'll look at the old one. I'll show you what I mean here. You can see right in here, there is a snap ring on the inside. You're gonna wanna pop those out, obviously, before you press that joint out. I'm just using my ball joint press. Pretty simple. Put the ball joint press on, push out one side, flip the press around, push out the other side. So simple as that. We're gonna get going here and pop this new universal. Like that, guys, our driver's side universal is in. Snap rings installed. Moves around good, everything looks good. Pretty simple. I just tapped it back in with a hammer. I didn't even need my press to put it in. All right, guys, got our passenger side U-joint out. This one was a lot worse. Here's the driver's side. This one, man, quite a bit older. They only changed one side, but it needed to be done. This is pretty bad. So when I did the driver's side, I'm like, darn it, maybe I shouldn't have done these. But then we got to the passenger side, and it's like, yeah, it needed to happen. So again, this one came out a little harder, obviously, because it's so much worse than the other one was. The other one came out like butter. But we got it out, so time to just pop the new one in with our hammer here and get these axle shafts done. All right, guys, passenger universal's done. This one was a little tougher than the other side just because, again, like I said, it was so bad. I mean, thing was rusted right out, no lube left in there. This side was about to go bad, so glad we did it. Finally have a lift kit. I ordered this thing, I don't know, over a month ago now. Finally got the lift kit in. We can finish up the front end of this truck. I did the U-joints, both sides. Just went with a rough country, you know, not an expensive lift, but comes with obviously new shocks, spacers for the front. And I like doing lift kits on these straight axle, live axle trucks, because you can actually pull the spring out and put your spacer in and then put the spring back in without any kind of spring compressor. It's pretty easy. All you gotta do is loosen up the control arms and this front axle is gonna drop right down. Also, obviously got our stuff for the back as well. Our spacers, our U-bolts are in there, longer U-bolts and shocks. So we'll do the back, but we're gonna finish the entire front, get the wheels on the ground, do the fenders, then do the back. So, yeah, let's jump right into it. This is pretty easy. Step one is to remove your shock tower as well as your lower shock mounting bolt and pull this baby all the way out. We'll do that on both sides. I may do one side at a time actually. And then loosen your control arms, put a jack under the axle, and kind of let the axle fall down so that this spring, it's already pretty loose, but we need a little more clearance so that we can put our spacer in the top here. Pulled the front differential cover The oil that was in it was actually pretty new. Diff looks great. All right, guys, shock tower is out. The shock is out. This lower shock bolt was a bear. Had to heat it. Hit it with the big impact. That didn't do it. So ended up breaker bar with an extension handle on it. Finally got it, but that baby wasn't happy. But shock is out. Now we need to relieve the tension on this spring. By doing that, what we're gonna do is loosen up these control arms, upper and lower. All right, guys. Was able to finally get these control arms loose. I had to cut off the bolts. They were just so rusted on there. It's hard to get an impact in there to get them off, and I just ended up cutting them. So our control arms are loose, which allowed us to drop this side of the axle down and remove our spring. We have to take this stock stud ring off. This is our spring. We leave the dampener. And then here's our coil spacer. That's gonna give us the lift. We're gonna slide our new studs in there like so. Okay. All right, we got our new studs in. Some of these are tighter than others. And then we flip this baby over and put her in just like that. And then reinstall, and those 3 new studs will go up in our 3 stud holes. And our new spring will be in. And then we'll throw the new shock in. And all right, guys, our spacer is in. Spring and new rough country shock are reinstalled. We are ready to roll as far as the suspension part of things. Just gonna throw on our dampener here. Just like that. We'll zip that down, and right front lift kit is complete. Gonna have to buy new bolts for the control arms, so those are gonna have to wait. Unfortunately, as we finish up this side, we're gonna have to leave this spindle apart because there is a seal right in here that I believe is leaking. I noticed that there was some, obviously it's covered now, but when I stopped driving the truck, there was some moisture here signifying that some differential oil was coming out of the axle. There is a seal, so this is your four-wheel drive actuator right here. There's a seal right here, right to the this side of that, the outside of it. Tough one to change. You've got to pull your actuator off, and then the seal presses in from this direction, this way, out towards the outside of the truck. So what you got to do is take a threaded rod, put it through with a washer on that end, pushing the seal in, and then have a piece of flat stock right here to support that threaded rod, and we tighten either end of that threaded rod up, and it pushes that seal in. So that's kind of a tough one to change. While we're here, we might as well do it. I'm pretty sure it was leaking. Not 100% certain, but I have the seal. It's right here. So we have that new seal to replace, so we might as well put it in while we're this deep. So yeah, there we have it. Right side of the truck is lifted. All right, guys, got our actuator out of the axle here. The way that this thing works, see if we get this camera to focus in here. The way this works is you have your inner axle shaft, okay, that goes to the diff. All right, and then there's this little, pull it out. There's this little actuator nut, I guess you could call it. And when this thing is in two-wheel drive, this nut, this vacuum operated actuator right here, okay, slides, those forks go onto this nut, okay, and those forks slide onto this thing. And then when that actuator moves, it moves the forks, which moves the nut. So when the nut is on this side, that's two-wheel drive, okay, so the nut is only on the inner axle shaft. So the outer axle shaft, which goes out to your wheel, is spinning free. So it's not connected to the pumpkin or the differential. When it goes into four-wheel drive, that actuator fork that I just showed you slides this nut out this way and grabs this outer axle, which puts it into four-wheel drive. So it's a little thing that they did in the second gen Dodges to save fuel mileage. You know, you could shut your when your four-wheel drive was off, your axle spun freely, so it was like an automatic locking hub almost. The seal that we need to change is on this side right here. Okay, this is your inner axle shaft. This is where your actuator nut would go. Okay, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. And the seal is right here. All right, so that's a tough one to change. I can feel it in there. That's a tough one to change because that seal pushes in this direction towards the outside of the truck. So, yeah, that's where we're gonna stop the video. I gotta go out and buy the necessary stuff to build the tool that I need, the piece of threaded rod to push that seal in from the outside. But I did pull the actuator out just so it's ready to go. Broke a couple bolts. You can see these two studs. The head of the bolts broke off, which doesn't surprise me. But we got enough meat on those studs. We could probably get a vice grip on there and pull those out. It does have a paper gasket. I'm gonna replace that with RTV. And then, yeah, change that seal out. So that is where we're gonna end the video, guys. Appreciate you watching. I know it's been a little while since we made a video, but waiting on parts, different circumstances. My lift kit came in like a month late. It's just one thing after another. But we got our lift kit in on the right-hand side, which is awesome. That is complete. We got to buy new bolts for our control arms to reinstall our new control arms. So a couple snags, which you know, it's gonna happen when you do a build this size. So yeah, we'll catch up on the next one, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, see you on the next one.